Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Bob Power, and on behalf of OTC Markets, as well as our co-hosts, Murdoch Capital Partners and TAA Advisory, we're very pleased you've joined us for today's uranium and vanadium company presentations. Our next live presentation is from Phenom Resources Corporation. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the question box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Phenom Resources, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Paul Cowley, President and CEO and Director of Phenom Resources Corporation, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol PHNMF and on the TSXV under the symbol PHNM. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much, Bob. I'm absolutely thrilled that we've got a full afternoon of vanadium talks. And kudos to OTCQX and Murdoch Capital for bringing this to the market, because there is such an interest in vanadium now. And I believe that we're actually at the beginning, and I think people need to know this, that we're at the beginning of a sustainable vanadium boom, all generated and driven by battery demand in the future here. I've been working on our vanadium project in Nevada for the last 6 years, and I've researched and studied vanadium all that time. So I know quite a bit about the markets and vanadium itself and how it's buying and selling and all the details about it. But I think the stage is set for this boom. And the reason why I think so is that there's never been this kind of setting set up for vanadium. So you have basically a battery chemistry that's very well known, second known to lithium. There's in the last 10 years, there's been some significant technological tweaks to the vanadium battery to make it more cost competitive and more effective for commercialization. You've had very significant commercialization and build out in China that a lot of people don't know about, and this is very significant because it's proving operational performance as we all have expected vanadium to perform, as well as the costs. And thirdly, there's a massive amount of money that's going into battery supply chains and a global intent on bringing green energy solutions to bear in our future. And the reason, vanadium is a metal of choice for the large capacity batteries that are for grid power. And the reason why, and that's the reason why I think vanadium should be on your radar screen. And the reason I'm here, of course, is Phenom Resources has the largest, highest grade primary vanadium resource in North America. So I'm very happy to present to you, and I'll begin the presentation here. I will be making forward-looking statements. Well, I'll first start with talking about a little bit about the company, and then a little bit about my knowledge of vanadium and the context, and then talk a little bit more about the project. But Phenom is listed on a Toronto Venture Exchange in Canada and the OTCQX. We've got a headquarters in Vancouver, Canada, and a local office in Elko, Nevada. That's where I am right now, actually. We have roughly 40% American investors, 55% Canadian investors, 5% European investors. We've been focused on this project in Nevada. We've spent 6 years on it, about $16 million on it. And obviously Nevada is a top tier mining jurisdiction. And we have a very motivated, highly experienced Canadian and American professional men and women team that's focused on advancing our project. And we've made some great progress. This project is, interestingly enough, in the Carlin gold trend of northeastern Nevada, which is an exceptional gold production trend. And I'll come back to that in a second. But the vanadium, as I mentioned, the vanadium deposit is at surface. It's a large, high-grade primary vanadium resource, and this has a PEA, or a preliminary economic assessment, already under its belt. Our short-term vision is to move towards pre-feasibility. We're also looking at making a discovery of the gold underneath it. So this is a bonus for people that are interested in the vanadium, that there's a gold opportunity within it. But our midterm goal is to become a leading U.S. supplier of vanadium, feeding the emerging U.S. large energy storage market, and potentially becoming fully integrated to a battery manufacturer and distributor. This having both vanadium at surface and gold underneath has given us some real clout in the markets when things have not been so good. We're always topical. It provides so that we can always talk about our vanadium or our gold. It gives optionality, so we have two options of success, and it gives diversity. So you've got an advanced stage vanadium project that's at surface with a legitimate opportunity for a discovery of a Carlin's type gold deposit underneath the vanadium. And because we anticipate both the vanadium market and the gold market to be positive in 2023, our company is proposing to spin out the gold asset to its Phenom shareholders, which I think is a great contribution or benefit for Phenom shareholders, and return to a principal or a pure vanadium player. And that gives us the ability to tap into both markets. For people that like the gold side, they'll be able to invest in the gold side. People that like the vanadium side and the green energy space, they can be able to invest that way. So I think that is a great benefit for our Phenom shareholders, and we're working towards assessing that opportunity. I'll talk a little bit about the capital structure. We're about 89 million shares, trading at about 48 cents Canadian. You can see we've got about $400,000 left in the treasury. We'll be obviously raising more money as all juniors do in the future, but you can see our share performance over the last 12 months. So you can see that we reached 80 cents a year ago. And that was before the general market meltdown that everybody experienced. But you can see that we've already started to tick up at the 48 cent mark. And that's because I think people are recognizing the vanadium uptick in the market and the value that we have. We're obviously undervalued in our view. And I think that's an opportunity. So let me talk a little bit about the vanadium world and the battery world. There's really what people need to understand or hopefully appreciate is there's two components. There's two sides of the market. One is the EV space, which is an enormous market. And then there's the stationary battery market for grid power. Both are, I think, are enormous markets. The vanadium battery is ideal for the grid power, the large energy storage battery. I'll talk a little bit more about that. This market is enormous and it's growing exceptionally high or very rapidly. There's predictions from analysts that are showing that it could grow up to 30 times before the end of this decade alone. And the U.S. knows that it's behind China. It knows that it actually has predicted. The Department of Energy has predicted that the U.S. will be the largest global market in the next 2 years for these stationary batteries. It's an enormous opportunity here, and obviously the U.S. knows that it needs to be a leader. It knows that it's behind China, and it's throwing billions of dollars of investment to secure its battery supply chain. And that's not only lithium. What we're talking about here is there's many sources of U.S. federal money that's now become available in the last year through Department of Defense and Department of Energy. There's $7.2 billion that has been allotted from the infrastructure bill, and only a portion of that has been allocated to lithium batteries. I think that they realize that they can't leave. You can't have their eggs in one basket. They've got to diversify into multiple battery supply chains, and because vanadium is not produced or very marginally produced in the U.S., it's a homeland security issue. So our deposit in Nevada is a very strategic situation. The vanadium market, as I said, the vanadium is best suited for this. I believe that we're going to shift from this dominantly steel dominated consumption of vanadium to a battery world. And earlier talks have shown this presentation that's on the left of Gatehouse on its prediction of vanadium batteries. I believe that that's not capped at that or a high side. I think it's actually quite realistic. From what I know, that the build-outs in China in 2022 have lived up to that. There's been an 800 megawatt plant that's been built in China, and I know that from one company alone, Shanghai Electric has got orders for 3 gigawatts of vanadium batteries, and that'll meet the 2023, and that's just from one particular company. They're also being deployed in the UK and in California, in Saudi Arabia, and Spain. So this is something that's really taking foot. This is not something that we've talked about this before, that it should happen. It's actually happening now. And on the right-hand side, you see vanadium prices over the last 3 years. You can see that there's a gradual uptick that we're seeing. We hit $10 a pound V2O5 just this morning, and I think that's an upward look for vanadium prices. As previous speakers have mentioned, vanadium batteries have such a superior aspect over the lithium battery in the large stationary battery market. It's basically recyclable or reusable. It has 25 years plus on its use in their batteries, because they don't contaminate. They don't degrade like the lithium battery does. In 7 years, you got to throw that away, and it has to go to a contaminated sites and build and buy another one. So that there's significant benefits for a sustainable metal that you can keep on using in the future. It's non-flammable, and this is important because lithium batteries do explode, and with thermal runaways, these fires are extremely dangerous. And now we're seeing that the vanadium batteries are cheaper than the lithium batteries. And there's many other aspects of performance. It holds more energy for longer periods of time. It operates in wider ranges of temperatures that the lithium doesn't. So this is a battery of choice, and I believe that it's going to take a significant percentage of the market going forward. Now I'm going to talk about our project. We've got, oops, I went a little bit too fast. So we've got an amazing location. We're in Northeast Nevada. We're in mining country. We're 6 miles south of I-80 in mining country. This is an area where Barrick and Newmont have been mining gold for 4 decades. So there's billions of dollars of infrastructure that's there. The communities are supportive of mining. Rail hub is six miles away. So this is an extraordinarily good infrastructural position for the project. We've got a tremendous situation here. This is a picture of the valley that the vanadium lies in. It comes to surface. It follows the trend of this valley, 2 kilometers long, 600 meters wide, and on the average is about 35 meters thick. So it's a very simple deposit, fairly flat lying, near surface, in the top 60 meters. So it's an open pitable situation. The metallurgy, we've got a flow sheet that shows that we can get 80% recovery of the vanadium. And it's a very, very good resource. That's 380 million pounds of vanadium. And we believe that we've already made efforts to expand the resource, and we think that we can expand it quite significantly more this year. So the largest, highest grade primary vanadium resource will be bigger by the end of this year, my belief is. This is a little bit about the preliminary economic assessment. This is a 20-year project life. This would be producing or mining 1 million tons per year at an average grade of 0.7, which is a high grade. It's producing about 11 million pounds of flake, which is pretty comparable to what U.S. vanadium is producing. So this would this would amount to about 5% of the world's annual production. So that's a significant aspect. The operating costs are just a little bit above $5 a pound, and that's very important to be cost effective against your peers. It's a fairly high capex, which is something that we have been working on at bringing that to prove that we can bring that down before we start a pre-feasibility. We can see that we can bring that down on a number of measures. We think we can bring it down 10 to 20%, as well as increase the resource. So we're doing measures and then of course vanadium prices are on the rise. So that we're in a very, very good setting going forward here to advance the project to pre-feasibility. This shows the cost curve. This is a slightly out of date one compared to what was shown earlier, but it shows the location of where we would be on the cost curve in the lower quartile. And our current price is at $10 a pound. We'd be in that lower quartile with our project. That's important to be competitive against all. And I have to mention that the amount of vanadium that I think is going to be needed going forward, as what's been demonstrated in some of the forecasts, there's not going to be enough vanadium available, even with the number of projects that are out there that are in the stages that we're in a pre-feasibility or feasibility stage. There's just not going to be enough vanadium out there to meet the needs. And so this is not going to be an issue of supply. It's going to be an issue of demand, and there's going to be a shortfall. I think all of the players that have decent deposits are all going to be successful and win in the coming years. That's my prediction here. One of the other bonuses that I've mentioned, and I'll just mention it briefly because I don't want to take away from the aspect of the vanadium, is the bonus of the gold that's underneath. We're in a very prospective gold area, the Carlin Gold Trend. We have two geologists that have found 10 gold deposits in their career. Dave Mathewson is guiding our gold search. He's a legend. He's found 6 gold deposits, all within 10 kilometers or 8 miles of our project. We're in the southern part of the Carlin Gold Trend, where there's productive 9 million ounces of gold already, and we have already identified a very significant gold system underneath, but physically separated somewhere like 300 to 400 meters below the vanadium, so it doesn't really interfere with open pit mining the vanadium. So we think that we have a very, very good chance, as we've drilled about 17 holes and vectoring towards the high grade, which we think is there on this gold opportunity. So for the year ahead of us, I think in 2000, I'm sorry, it shows that 2022, but it should be 2023. We're focused on our vanadium as well as our gold, but the vanadium opportunities are looking very favorable for us. We're looking at lowering the capex and opex with further engineering. We're looking to drill and increase the resource. We're looking to get U.S. federal grant money. We have applied for $100 million to the Department of Energy. We think that we have a pretty good chance at getting this, and this could roll out the next 6 months. And we're working with we're talking with vanadium battery manufacturers as well. On the gold side, we're looking at making a gold discovery and advancing that with Dave Mathewson, who's many people know and respect. So to close, why Phenom? Well, we own 100% interest in this largest, highest grade primary vanadium resource in North America, which with a bonus of an opportunity for gold. And the team has an exceptional track record of discovering gold deposits as well as building and operating mines. So that concludes my talk. I am very, very appreciative of having the opportunity to meet everybody to talk about it, and I'm open to questions. So what are the catalysts for reevaluation of Phenom? Well, there's so many catalysts that are in front of us. We're looking at obviously advancing, I mentioned those, increasing the resource, lowering the capex, doing some work with battery manufacturers. We're looking at potentially doing some offtake agreements that will be favorable for Phenom. And so there's many catalysts, and of course, just organically, vanadium prices are going up and unlocking value that way. How large of a raise we'll be undertaking this year? That's open. I would think that in the order of $3 to $5 million is quite reasonable to expect at this time. What's our average grade in vanadium? The average grade is point in the mining plan is 0.7 V2O5. And can it be improved? Well, we believe that with some of the work and some of the acquisitions and increased in resources, this potentially could be improved and be able to get some higher grade areas that we could start, and that would improve the economics. Yes, we have plans on expanding the resource. No, at this point, there was a question of do we have any holes in gold deposits that we are waiting to receive? No, everything has been put out on the Carlin Gold trend there. So that, any other questions, I'd be very, very happy to, and anyone who's interested in doing a one-on-one talk with me to go into further depth on any of our projects, I'd be very, very happy to. I certainly encourage you to go to our website, phenomresources.com, to take a deeper dive. We've got good information on there, but I'm also very, very accessible to investors to answer phone calls. I am very, very accessible there. I think we have, I think from what I can see with the gold and the vanadium markets being very uptick this year, I think we're going to have a very, very good year for Phenom. We've got a couple of other acquisitions that we're working on that I think are material that could also be catalysts coming out. So yeah, I think this is a good time for our shareholders. Questions come out of when do we do the spin out? We're evaluating that. I think at this point, this is probably in the order of 4 to 6 months for it to be accomplished. There's a number of steps that we have already taken, and a number of steps that need to be to be had there. And there may be a question of whether we do a financing before we and do a drill hole in gold before we do the spin out. That might be one of the scenarios that are out there. But yeah, I think there's a number of ways that we think that things will roll out for our shareholders. really appreciate people coming and listening to the presentation. And I think this is a real sign, having a vanadium afternoon. I think this is a sign of things to come. And I really think that people need to recognize that this is the start of a boom of vanadium that most people don't recognize, but it's a very, very important thing that people should know. How many tons of sulfuric acid will be consuming? You'd have to look at our PEA. That's off the top of my head. I can't say. That's built into our economics. One of the things that if I wait for other questions, what I think that's really interesting is one of the reasons why I think our vanadium deposit and resource is that much higher than anywhere else in Nevada is because we're in the Carlin Gold Trend. And I think that it's the result of two stages of mineralization, one that happened back 300 million years with vanadium being deposited, and then a gold system that's underneath that's driven more vanadium and concentrated it near surface. And that gold system that's part of the system that's underneath it has sort of supercharged the vanadium. It's very, very interesting from a geological standpoint and from an investor standpoint to have two types of minerals on the same thing. And I might mention, and the only place I've seen that where there's a vanadium at surface, vanadium resource at surface with the gold deposit underneath, is in the Carlin Gold Trend at Gold Strike and at Gold Quarry. Those are massive gold deposits that are in the 40 to 60 million ounces of gold. So a very, very interesting geological situation that we have some analogies for. Time frame for any answers from the government? Well, as I think that there was a hearing that we put out on a news release that there's in this quarter they're going to be making another solicitation for new grant opportunities. They know that it's going to be outside of the lithium space because they know that the senators and the oversight committee has indicated that you need to expand on the lithium side. So I believe in the next 6 months that could be a decision. But obviously, it's something that the government's going to be in the Department of Energy is going to be administering. As I said, $7.2 billion have been allocated just from the infrastructure bill alone, and only 2.8 has been allocated for lithium projects in November of last year. So there's still plenty there. Department of Defense, there's money that's available in the Defense Production Act. There's also for the Inflation Act there that for tax benefits for critical metals. Vanadium is also a critical metal, so we would fall into that application as well. So there's many opportunities. The government wants to move its battery chain and multiple battery chain supply lines, move it quickly because they know that they're 5 years behind China. Again, my contacts, my phone number to reach me is 604-340-7711. And our website is phenomresources.com. And my email address is pcowley@phenomresources.com.